Facing a midlife crisis? Find courage in everyday women's stories. Subscribe to Resilient Women Rising.
The Forgotten Heirs: How a 56-year-old widow reclaimed her home and heart from her son. Marianne Ruiz paused on the front porch of her childhood home, the house she and her late husband, Victor, had lovingly restored over decades, only to find a terse eviction notice tacked to the door. At 56 and newly widowed for 2 years, she'd never imagined her son, Daniel, and his wife, Elena, would betray her so ruthlessly. The notice claimed she had no legal right to remain. The deed, they insisted, now belonged to them. Her heart pounded as she rifled through a stack of mail swept onto the welcome mat. Among the bills was a letter from Daniel's lawyer, coldly informing her that the bulk of Victor's estate had been transferred into a trust, controlled solely by Daniel and Elena, leaving Marianne with nothing but fading memories. Shaken, Marianne retreated to the living room, its walls still echoing with laughter and shared dreams. She sank into the old leather chair, mind racing. How could her only child turn on her so completely? Determined not to be cast aside, Marianne resolved to fight back. She would find legal help, someone who believed in justice, not family exploitation. That very afternoon, a chance encounter at the courthouse plaza brought her eye to eye with Gabriel Reyes, a single 48-year-old estate lawyer known for championing the underdog. As he passed by, she caught the crest of his attentive gaze, as though he sensed her silent plea. Clutching the eviction notice, Marianne lifted her chin. The battle for her home and her late husband's legacy had begun. Marianne found Gabriel Reyes in the courthouse corridor, reviewing documents at a folding table outside the family law department. Summoning courage, she approached him. "Mr. Reyes," she began, voice trembling, "I need help." He looked up, his keen brown eyes softening. "Please call me Gabriel." He gestured to a nearby bench. Marianne explained the eviction notice, the sudden transfer of her late husband's estate into her son's trust, and her fear of losing the home she and Victor had built together. Gabriel listened intently, then asked precise questions: the date of Victor's death, the terms of the will she'd last seen, any communications from Daniel or his attorney. Marianne produced a few faded photocopies of Victor's handwritten will, which named her sole heir to the house and estate. Daniel and Elena's lawyer had claimed a later codicil existed, but Marianne had never seen it. Gabriel nodded, concern etched on his face. "You have a presumption in your favor," he said. "If no codicil is valid, the original will stands. We'll file an emergency motion to stop the eviction and demand proof of any amendment. Then we'll subpoena Daniel's trust documents and any purported codicils." Relief and gratitude flooded Marianne's eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. Gabriel offered her a gentle, professional smile. "We'll begin immediately. I'll prepare the motion overnight and file first thing tomorrow." As Marianne left the courthouse, clutching Gabriel's business card, hope stirred within her. The path ahead would be long and fraught with legal wrangling, but with Gabriel by her side, she believed she could wrest back her home and honor Victor's final wishes. Before dawn's pale light, Gabriel sat at his desk, drafting the emergency motion to halt Marianne's eviction. He invoked the probate code's clear requirement that any will amendment must be signed by the testator and witnessed. At 8:30 a.m., he filed the motion, supporting it with Marianne's original will, her death certificate for Victor, and an affidavit recounting her lack of knowledge of any codicil. That afternoon, they gathered in Judge Harrington's mahogany-paneled courtroom. Marianne's hands trembled as Gabriel rose to argue that Daniel's trust transfers were void without a valid amendment. Across the aisle, Daniel's attorney produced a notarized document purportedly signed by Victor 6 months before his death, claiming to leave everything to his son. Gabriel listened carefully, then pointed out the codicil's fatal flaw. Victor's signature was dated after his recorded time of death. A stunned hush fell over the courtroom as Gabriel submitted Victor's death certificate proving the discrepancy. Daniel's lawyer faltered, unable to counterproof. Judge Harrington peered over her glasses. "The court finds the codicil invalid on its face," she declared. Marianne Ruiz retains ownership of the property under the original will. The eviction is stayed, effective immediately. A full hearing on the trust's validity will proceed next week. Relief washed over Marianne as Gabriel offered his arm and led her outside. The crisp afternoon air felt like a benediction. Though the battle was far from over, the trust hearing would test every facet of Gabriel's legal strategy. Marianne knew she had won the first round. With her home safe for now, she dared to believe Victor's legacy would prevail, and that, in the process, she might discover something new about love and resilience. Back at her beloved living room, Marianne sank onto the sofa, the late afternoon sun warming her shoulders. Gabriel followed with 2 cups of tea, setting one in her hands. They sat in companionable silence, the victory still fresh. She glanced at him, gratitude shining in her eyes. "I can't thank you enough, Gabriel." He offered a reassuring smile. "This is just the beginning. We'll need to challenge the trust's formation in the full hearing, but today was critical." Over the next week, Gabriel meticulously reviewed the trust documents, uncovering that Daniel and Elena had quietly transferred several of Victor's personal assets, jewelry, investments, even funds from a life insurance payout, into accounts that legally bypassed Marianne. Every line of the trust deed bore their fingerprints. At dawn on the day of the trust hearing, Gabriel arrived with a binder thick with evidence bank records, notarization logs, and expert testimony on standard probate procedure. Marianne gripped his hand as they entered the courtroom once again. This time, Gabriel dismantled the trust's validity piece by piece. He called a handwriting expert to testify that the codicil signature was a forgery, and the bank manager to confirm that the transfers occurred without Marianne's knowledge or consent. He cited statutes requiring the beneficiary to be notified of any changes notifications Daniel had concealed. As the afternoon light waned, Judge Harrington leaned forward. Given the forged codicil, lack of statutory notice, and clear intent under the original will, this court reverses all transfers into the trust. All assets shall revert to Ms. Ruiz as sole beneficiary. A soft gasp rose from the gallery. Marianne felt tears prickle her cheeks as Gabriel handed her the court's order. Outside, she embraced him, her voice thick. "You did it." Gabriel paused, looking into her eyes. "You did it," he corrected gently. "I just fought for your rights. You had the courage to stand up and demand justice." As they walked back to her home, the setting sun painted the sky in warm hues. Marianne realized that this journey had given her more than her home. It had brought Gabriel into her life, a steadfast partner in a fight for what truly mattered. And in his quiet strength, she felt her heart open to the possibility of new beginnings. The morning after their courtroom triumph, Marianne awakened to the first quiet moments in her home she truly felt in months. The wall, once shadowed by betrayal, now radiated relief. She found Gabriel on her porch, sunlight glinting off his dark hair as he surveyed the flower beds. "I brought the original keys," he said, extending a small ring where her home's classic brass fobs, nestled beside a newly minted set, marked Marianne Ruiz. "The banks reversed all transfers, but we'll need to update every title and deed. I can handle it today if you'd like." Marianne stepped forward, inhaling the scent of lavender she'd planted decades earlier. "Thank you, Gabriel. I couldn't have asked for a better partner." Her smile warmed him and he grinned back. They spent the morning at the county clerk's office, filing paperwork side by side. Gabriel guided Marianne through each form, his hand brushing hers as he passed her a pen. In the clerk's window reflections, Marianne caught his eyes steady and caring and felt an unfamiliar flutter in her chest. Back home, they shared a simple lunch of tomato soup and crusty bread in the sunlit kitchen where Victor once baked. Marianne found herself laughing at Gabriel's witty aside, how he'd always managed to find the one bright angle even in the darkest legal storms. As they cleared the dishes, Gabriel hesitated by the doorway. "Marianne, if you don't mind, would you join me for dinner tonight? No paperwork, just you and me." His invitation trembled with hope. Marianne's heart skipped. This was more than gratitude. She realized she wanted his company. "I'd like that very much," she replied softly. That evening, Marianne set a modest table with her grandmother's china. When Gabriel arrived, she greeted him with a warm hug that lingered. Over candlelight and homemade paella, they shared stories beyond law and loss of their childhood dreams, favorite books, and the small joys that sustained them. After dessert, Gabriel reached across the table, brushing a stray hair from her cheek. "I never imagined I'd find this much laughter and light in a probate case," he murmured. Marianne's smile glowed in the lantern's flicker. Me neither, she agreed. As night fell and the first stars emerged, they stood together on the porch, two hearts, each wounded and mended, discovering that justice had not only restored her home, but opened the door to a second chance at love. The morning sun filtered through lace curtains as Marianne awoke. No eviction notice, no looming court date, only the gentle promise of a new day. She found Gabriel in her study, reviewing the final titles. He looked up and offered a lopsided grin. All set. The county records will reflect your sole ownership by tomorrow. Marianne closed her eyes in relief. Thank you for everything. Her voice whispered more than gratitude. He rose and approached her desk, leaning against the corner as he studied her. You fought with fierce grace. I've learned more about courage from you than any case file. Her cheeks warmed. And I've learned that second chances aren't just for wills. Their eyes met with souls accustomed to loss, now finding unexpected hope. Outside, a robin landed on the windowsill, chirping a bright melody. Gabriel broke the quiet. I know we both have commitments, but would you consider coming with me next weekend to the community fundraiser? Just as my guest. No legal briefs, I promise. Marianne looked toward the robin, then back at him. I'd like that. That Saturday, beneath festoon lights at the town square, they walked side by side. Marianne felt lighter than she had in years. Gabriel slipped his arm around her shoulder, and she leaned into him, as if discovering home all over again. Under a starlit sky, amidst laughter and music, Marianne realized that reclaiming her house was only half the victory. Finding someone to share it with made it truly a home. The week after the fundraiser, Marianne and Gabriel met at her garden for tea among the late-blooming roses. Stacks of closing documents sat on the patio table, their signatures already inked. Gabriel poured the steeped tea, steam curling between them. The final walkthrough with the title company is tomorrow. After that, your ownership is indisputable. He offered her a teacup, eyes warm with pride. Marianne lifted the cup to her lips. It's almost surreal. I never imagined we'd see the end of this. He nodded, then hesitated. I've drafted a letter to the local Paperon op-ed on estate planning lessons based on your story. It could help others avoid what you endured. Surprise and gratitude softened her face. I'd be honored, she said. Across the garden, a hummingbird flitted among the blossoms. Marianne set her cup down. Gabriel, you've given me back more than my home. You've given me my voice. He closed the distance between them, gently brushing a stray petal from her hair. You always had it, he whispered. The next morning, after the title was recorded, Marianne held the paper in one hand and Gabriel's in the other. In that moment, her past wounds felt fully behind. Her home restored, her future wide open, and her heart ready for the life she and Gabriel would build together. That evening, Marianne found a copy of her op-ed titled Protect Your Legacy. Protect Your Loved Ones pinned to her refrigerator, alongside several supportive letters from neighbors. Pride mingled with relief as she read each heartfelt note. A gentle knock drew her to the door. Gabriel stood on her porch, holding 2 mugs of spiced apple cider. Thought you could use a celebration toast, he said with a warm smile. They settled on the porch swing, cider in hand. Marianne raised her mug. To new beginnings, she said softly. Gabriel clinked his against hers. And to the strength you've shown, he replied. Under the glow of the porch light and a velvet sky, Marianne felt Gabriel's hand brush hers. Her heart fluttered. I couldn't have done any of this without you, she admitted. He turned to face her, his expression earnest. I've never met someone so brave, so determined. You've inspired me professionally and personally. Her pulse quickened as Gabriel gently caressed her hand. Marianne, he paused, gathering courage. I'd like more than friendship if you'll have me. Tears of joy glistened in Marianne's eyes. I'd like that too, she whispered. In the hush of the summer night, they shared their first tender embrace, 2 hearts mended by justice, now bound by hope and the promise of love's second act. Autumn leaves swirled along the driveway as Marianne guided Gabriel toward the front door, each step echoing a year's worth of trials now behind them. Inside, the house felt different, lighter, infused with new memories rather than old sorrow. Marianne led him into the living room, where she'd arranged a small gathering of close friends and neighbors to celebrate her reclaimed home. Candlelight flickered around the room as guests toasted Marianne's resilience and Gabriel's unwavering support. Laughter and clinking glasses filled the air, weaving a tapestry of community and solidarity. In the corner, a photo slideshow played snapshots of Marianne and Victor restored side by side, with images from the court victory and Marianne's first dinner date with Gabriel. When the crowd hushed for Marianne's speech, she stepped forward, Gabriel's hand finding hers. Her voice, steady and warm, carried to every corner of the room. This home has seen love, loss, betrayal, and triumph. Tonight, it witnesses a new chapter one, defined not by fear, but by faith in justice, faith in one another, and faith in love. She turned to Gabriel. Thank you for being my advocate, my confidant, and now, my partner in life. Applause rose like a wave. Gabriel swept Marianne into a gentle embrace, and the gathered faces glowed with genuine joy. Outside, the wind settled, and the last leaf drifted to the porch, signaling that autumn's journey, like theirs, had come full circle. The next morning, Marianne awoke to a soft tap on her window. Peering out, she saw Gabriel tending to her rose bushes, already pruned into elegant arches he'd crafted overnight. She dressed quickly and joined him outside, the crisp dawn air full of promise. Gabriel handed her a steaming mug of coffee. I thought we might start your day with fresh blooms. His smile was gentle, and Marianne's heart warmed at his thoughtfulness. They walked hand in hand through the garden paths, where the roses caught the morning light like embers. Marianne paused before a newly planted rose's bud just beginning to unfurl. Victor would have loved this, she said softly. Gabriel squeezed her hand. And so would he replied. He lives on in every petal you tend. They returned indoors to find a letter on the kitchen counter, a formal invitation from the Historical Society. We cordially invite Ms. Ruiz to lecture on home preservation and heritage safeguarding. Marianne's eyes widened. They want me to speak? Gabriel grinned. Your story has the power to help others. You deserve this platform. That evening, Marianne stood before a packed hall of neighbors, historians, and homeowners. Under warm lighting, she spoke of honoring the past, defending one's legacy, and embracing new beginnings. Gabriel watched from the front row, pride shining in his eyes. Afterward, as they walked home beneath lantern-lit streets, Marianne rested her head on Gabriel's shoulder. Thank you, she whispered, for giving me back my home and showing me how to open my heart again. Gabriel kissed her temple. Every story deserves its rightful ending, and our next chapter is ours to write together. Under the starlit sky, they walked on two hearts intertwined, ready for all the chapters yet to unfold. Winter settled softly over the neighborhood, frosting window panes with delicate lace and dusting Marianne's rose garden with powdered snow. One evening, Gabriel arrived at her door holding 2 steaming mugs of hot chocolate and a small box wrapped in pine-scented ribbon. Marianne invited him in, and they settled by the living room's crackling fireplace. He handed her the box. Inside lay a silver pendant shaped like a house, entwined with a heart and homage to her journey. Touched, Marianne fastened the pendant around her neck. I wanted you to have something that represents both home and love, Gabriel said, his voice warm. She reached for his hand. It's perfect, she whispered. Outside, Gabriel paused at the edge of the hearth's glow. Marianne, this winter has been transformative, your strength inspiring everyone who hears your story. I've grown to care for you deeply. Would you spend the holidays with me and my family up north? His eyes searched hers for a sign. Marianne's heart swelled. I would love that, she replied, smiling through tears of joy. That Christmas, Marianne found herself nestled beside Gabriel's family hearth in a quaint mountain lodge larder, echoing as they exchanged stories and sipped mulled cider. Surrounded by newfound loved ones and under a canopy of evergreen boughs, she realized that reclaiming her home had led her to a richer, more expansive sense of family. As snowflakes drifted past frosted windows, Marianne and Gabriel stepped outside to stand beneath the stars. He slipped his arms around her, and she rested her head on his chest, listening to the steady warmth of his heartbeat. In that silent, snow-kissed moment, Marianne knew her true inheritance was not just the walls of a house, but the love she had reclaimed and the new life they would build together. Back in town, The crisp winter air gave way to early spring's hopeful stirrings. Marianne returned from the mountains with Gabriel's family gift, a small potted evergreen sapling. She placed it by her front door, a living symbol of roots and renewal. That Sunday morning, Gabriel arrived early with breakfast pastries and his trademark easy grin. They sat at Marianne's kitchen table, sunlight dancing through the budding branches of her patio hydrangeas. "I spoke with my family," he began, "and we'd love you to consider making your home our home, too, if you're willing." Marianne's heart fluttered. "You mean move in?" Gabriel nodded. "I want us to build a life together here." Tears of joy welled in her eyes. "Yes," she whispered, "I'd love that." Over the following weeks, Marianne and Gabriel merged their lives with gentle care. She lent her grandmother's heirloom quilt to decorate Gabriel's guest room. He installed new shelving in her study for the law books she'd accumulated. Together, they crafted weekend routines, morning coffee on the porch, evening walks through the blossoming garden, and quiet dinners by lamplight. One sunny afternoon, Gabriel led Marianne to the spot beneath the oldest oak in her yard, the very tree under which Victor had once carved their initials decades ago. With a gentle smile, he knelt and opened a small velvet box, revealing a simple gold band inset with a single emerald. "Marianne Ruiz," he said, voice tender, "you fought to reclaim your past and opened your heart to a future. Will you marry me?" Overwhelmed, Marianne nodded through tears of happiness. "Yes, Gabrieles." As he slipped the ring onto her finger, the oak's new leaves whispered above them, a promise that love, like spring, could bloom again, richer and more beautiful than before. Summer's first glow at Marianne's garden was fragrant with roses and fresh-cut grass. Word of Gabriel's proposal had spread through neighborhood whispers and congratulations cards. Now, tables were being set beneath strings of lanterns and wildflower arrangements. Marianne's favorite dotted the lawn. Marianne stood at the front gate in a simple, elegant sundress, her emerald ring sparkling in the midday sun. Beside her, Gabriel adjusted the boutonniere, pinned to his linen jacket, an echo of the morning's blossoms. Guests began arriving, neighbors who'd watched Marianne's battle, friends who cheered her victories, and even Daniel, who approached with tentative respect. He offered a heartfelt apology for his past actions and full support for their new union. Marianne accepted with grace, extending forgiveness that warmed the afternoon air. As lanterns flickered to life and the sky soft-pinked with dusk, Gabriel took Marianne's hand. Their children, Marianne's nephew and Gabriel's goddaughters, scattered petals along the garden path. With neighbors gathered in a circle of support, Gabriel spoke vows that blended gratitude and hope. "Marianne, you taught me that courage rebuilds what despair destroys. Today, I vow to stand by your side through every season of life, in every joy and challenge, to honor the past and embrace our future together." Marianne's voice trembled with emotion as she replied, "Gabriel, your belief in me rekindled my faith in love. I promise to cherish and support you, to nurture our home with laughter and kindness, and to face whatever comes with unwavering trust in us." When they kissed beneath the oak's dappled shade, the gathered cheers mingled with a gentle summer breeze. The lantern swayed overhead, illuminating two hearts that had weathered betrayal and loss, and now bloomed together in a new chapter of shared joy. As music drifted across the lawn and neighbors danced, Marianne slipped her hand into Gabriel's. Their journey, marked by fight, resilience, and unexpected romance, had led them not only back home, but to a love stronger than any adversity. The morning after their intimate garden ceremony, Marianne awoke to the soft hum of summer birdsong. She padded downstairs to find Gabriel in the kitchen, brewing coffee and humming a cheerful tune. The air was fragrant with freshly baked scones and blooming honeysuckle from the trellis outside. Gabriel greeted her with a warm smile and held out a plate of buttered scones. "I thought we'd start our first morning as husband and wife with breakfast in bed. Only my bed ran out of space," he teased. Marianne laughed, taking a scone as she settled at the small bistro table. "It's perfect," she said, savoring the buttery pastry and the peaceful silence between them. After breakfast, they gathered tools and seedlings to continue their summer project, restoring the neglected section of the rose garden that had once been Victor's pride. Kneeling side by side in the soil, they carefully uprooted wilted bushes and planted new heirloom roses. With every spade of earth turned, Marianne felt the past and present intertwine Victor's legacy, honored, Gabriel's love blossoming, and her own future firmly rooted. Later, as sunlight filtered through the lush canopy overhead, Gabriel brushed a stray hair from Marianne's face. "We make a good team," he said softly. Marianne smiled, her heart full. "The best team," she agreed. Together, they stood back to admire a row of newly planted roses, symbols of renewal, resilience, and a love that had reclaimed more than just a home. By midsummer, Marianne and Gabriel's home had become a haven of laughter and life. Mornings were spent over shared coffee on the back porch, evenings in the garden lit by fireflies. One golden afternoon, Gabriel surprised Marianne with a hand-painted sign for the front gate Ruiz Reyes home, a testament to their blended family. That weekend, they hosted a charity bake sale to benefit the local senior center, another joint venture born from Marianne's op-ed success and Gabriel's passion for community. Neighbors lined up for freshly baked empanadas and lemon bars, children weaving between tables, and the air hummed with goodwill. As they tallied donations, Marianne felt Gabriel's hand slip into hers. "Look at this," he whispered, pointing to the total enough to fund the center's summer activities for weeks. Pride and joy swelled in her chest. "We did this together," she said, squeezing his hand. Later, as the sun dipped low, they walked the garden's winding path, framed by the roses they'd nurtured together. Marianne paused beneath the oak tree and looked at Gabriel. "Victor would be proud of this life we've built," she said softly. Gabriel drew her close. "He set the foundation and you built the future. I'm honored to be part of it." Under the first stars of the evening, Marianne realized that her battle to reclaim a house had blossomed into something far richer, a shared home, and an enduring love that would guide them through every season yet to come. Early autumn painted the garden in bronze and gold as Marianne and Gabriel prepared for another milestone, hosting their first joint family reunion. Photographs of Victor's family lined the mantel alongside images of Gabriel's childhood, weaving together their histories. On a crisp Saturday, relatives and close friends gathered beneath the arbor of climbing roses. Laughter rang out as nieces chased leaves, and elders swapped stories at picnic tables draped with gingham blankets. Marianne watched Gabriel deftly juggle plates and conversations, his easy warmth binding the group together. Mid-afternoon, Gabriel lifted Marianne's hand, drawing her away to the rose garden's quiet nook. He knelt and unveiled a scrapbook compiling legal documents, letters of gratitude from the senior center, and guest book entries from neighbors thanking them for the bake sale. "This," he said, voice earnest, "is our story proof that love and justice can restore more than buildings, they restore lives." Marianne's eyes brimmed as she flipped through the pages. "It's beautiful," she whispered. He pulled her into an embrace. "And it's just the beginning." As the sun dipped low, they rejoined the reunion, two hearts woven into a larger tapestry of family and community, each chapter richer than the last. A year later, the Ruiz Reyes home stood as a beacon of renewal in the neighborhood. Marianne and Gabriel's combined families had grown into a tight-knit circle, weekend barbecues, holiday traditions, and the shared stewardship of their flourishing rose garden. Marianne, now chair of the local heritage committee, often led walking tours through the historic district, her signature op-ed series having inspired homeowners to protect their legacies. Gabriel, partner at his law firm, mentored young attorneys, weaving lessons of compassion and integrity into every case he took. On warm summer evenings, they could be found on the back porch, Marianne, with her journal, Gabriel tinkering with his grandfather's old clock, finding comfort in their everyday rhythms. Their love, born from justice and perseverance, had deepened into a steady partnership, each supporting the other's dreams and honoring the past that had shaped them. One afternoon, as sunlight filtered through lace curtains, Marianne found a fresh rosebud in the garden and pressed it into a book of family photos. She thought of Victor, the man whose memory had sparked her fight, and smiled, knowing his legacy lived on not just in bricks and mortar, but in hearts healed and futures reclaimed. Raising her glass of iced tea in a quiet toast to the summer breeze, Marianne whispered, "To love that endures, to homes that heal, and to the promise of every new dawn." And heart from her son,